This video will explain conjunctions in German, what they are and how to use them. Without conjunctions, you can't link ideas, clauses or sentences, and your writing and speaking will be simple and unnaturally disjointed. Have a look at the word conjunction itself for a clue as to what they actually are. It contains the word junction. You're familiar, I hope, with what road junctions and perhaps even railway junctions are. They are where roads and tracks meet, allowing the driver to make a choice about proceeding, to change direction. Conjunctions are words that allow us to do the same thing with language. We use them to join parts of sentences, to more clearly communicate, clarify the direction of our thoughts, and give additional information. In German, there are two types of conjunctions. To begin with, let's look at the easiest group, coordinating conjunctions. When things coordinate, they go together easily. This group of conjunctions allow you to join two sentences very easily. They just go together. You're probably familiar with most of them from your junior German studies. Und, meaning and, oder, meaning or, aber, but, and two which may be more new to you, denn, which means for, in a because sort of sense, for this reason, and sondern, which is another word for but, meaning instead or rather, and is sometimes used with nicht nur, for not only, to say nicht nur something, sondern auch, but also something else. Let's look at a simple example of how to use coordinating conjunctions. Remember, coordinating things go together well and easily. If you take the two simple sentences here and join them with aber for but, you don't need to change any word order, nor do you need to add punctuation. You simply end up with Ich mag Pizza, aber ich hasse Salami. The two sentences have stayed the same, we've just put the word aber between. Let's look at another example. Here we have two sentences talking about where we do or don't want to eat. In the first sentence we're saying wir wollen nicht in McDonald's essen, we don't want to eat in McDonald's. In the second, wir wollen in einem Restaurant essen, we want to eat in a restaurant. Notice that these two sentences start and finish exactly the same way, wir wollen and essen. Now if we use a new coordinating conjunction that you haven't done before, sondern, which means but instead or rather, we can actually make this sentence much more convincing and make it flow naturally. Because if you say to someone, we don't want to eat in McDonald's, we want to eat in a restaurant, it sounds a little babyish. So let's look at how to join them using sondern. Remember, it's a coordinating conjunction. It goes together easily. So we can leave the first sentence exactly as it is. Wir wollen nicht in McDonald's essen. Add in our sondern, and because we've got already the wir wollen at the front and the essen is already there, we can simply say in einem Restaurant. Just like we would in English. We don't want to eat at McDonald's, but rather in a restaurant. If you can pick out my punctuation mistake at this point, there may be a Freddo frog in it for you. Now let's look at the second group, subordinating conjunctions. You have used a couple of these before, but there are many. If you are familiar with multiple conjunctions, your expression will become more varied and complex, enabling you to better share and elaborate your ideas and opinions, which is going to give you better marks in the performance standards. Before we look at what exactly subordinating means in a grammatical sense, how they work, what they do to the sentence structure, let's look at what they mean. For the purpose of this explanation, I'm going through them in alphabetical order, but you will see that you have learned a few of them outside of that order. So, let's have a look. Als means as or when in the past. Als ob, as if. Bevor or ehe, which is less common these days, both mean before. bis, which you may be familiar with as a preposition, or in sentences such as bis Montag, until Monday, can also be used as a conjunction. Da, meaning as or since, in the sense of because, since I am too old, rather than since Monday. Damit, so that, or in order that. Das, which I'm pretty sure you would have used before, meaning that. Falls, meaning in case. Indem, while. Nachdem, after. Ob, meaning if or whether. Obgleich, obschon, and obwohl all mean although. Seit and seitdem mean since. Sobald, as soon as. So dass, so that. So lang or so lange, as or so long as. So as long as or so long as. So oft, as often as. Trotzdem, despite. Während, while or whereas. Weil, which you should be very familiar with since year 9 and 10, for because. And wenn, meaning if or when, in the sense of whenever something happens. Now to what we need to do when using them. Thinking through the word subordinating itself gives us a clue. If you think of other words containing sub, like subtitle, substitute, and submarine, they have to do with something going under or being lower. A subtitle is below the main part of the movie. A submarine goes under the sea, and a substitute is a second-hand sort of stand-in for the actual one that was meant to be there before. If you think historically, subordinates were also people who were below others in an organisation. The word subordinate also has the start of the word order in it. Subordinate. When we used coordinating conjunctions, the second clause didn't change word order. However, with subordinating conjunctions, it does. What do you think is most likely to move and where to? Yes, the verb will move and it will go further back or lower in the sentence. Let's have a look at an example. Two simple sentences here. Ich lerne Deutsch. I learn German. Es macht Spaß. It is fun. Let's look at using weil, which you've used before, to join these two and watch where the verb goes. The first sentence becomes our first clause. Ich lerne Deutsch. No change there. But when we add our weil, we need to add a comma. Note that there is a comma before any subordinating conjunction. After our weil, it's time to add our second clause. Now, it's the subordinate clause. It comes after the subordinating conjunction. It's the second one. It's lower down in our information. When you've used weil before, you should have remembered to take that verb out and down to the back. If you like, think of it going in a submarine and popping back up at the back of the sentence. Or remember that sub means lower, so it goes lower in the sentence. It goes to the back, and we end up with es Spaß macht. Our verb is now at the end. Machen was our verb. Es macht Spaß in the example at the top. We've put that macht in its little submarine, and we've switched it around, and it's popped back up at the back of our sentence. It's lower down in our clause now. Ich lerne Deutsch, weil es Spaß macht. Let's have a look at another. Keeping the vocab simple so that you can focus on the grammar. Let's have a look here. Ich lerne Deutsch. I learn German. Ich kann in Deutschland studieren. University in Germany is now free. So even for foreigners, learning German is a good thing. So if we wanted to put these two sentences together to say, I'm learning German so that I can study in Germany, we could use damit. Again, our first clause doesn't change. Ich lerne Deutsch. Remember, we need a comma before any subordinate conjunction. So we add the comma and put damit. Then we add the rest of the sentence, thinking about where this verb kann here needs to go. Remember, it has to get in its submarine and pop back up. It goes lower in the sentence. You may be asking why I'm looking at kann and not studieren. We look at the verb that's in second place in that clause. So we end up with ich lerne Deutsch, damit ich in Deutschland studieren kann. So our kann has moved to the end. We've got a comma before our subordinating conjunction there, and the rest of the sentence now works. Have a go at the worksheets. If you've got any questions, post a question to our Edmodo page or send an email.